we live.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's demo day. We're gonna talk about some cool stuff we're up to. Specifically, there's some great work that we've been working on in terms of transitioning our blog. So you might notice that if you've been keeping up with the blog, we have a new interface. On top of that, we have the framework. We've updated the framework a bunch. So now we have some good stuff, good bug fixes, as well as some cool stuff that we actually didn't announce last week, so it would be good to talk about this week. And then finally, um, one of the things we've been building, which we're really excited about, is Pallas, our new AI chatbot. So before we get started, I just want to say thank you to our contributors this year. I think this won't be our last stream of the year, but I think that probably next week is going to be a little bit tougher for people to tune in. So I just wanted to give a huge thank you to everyone that has supported Plasma over the year. You guys really helped us out, and we really appreciate all of the even if it was a one-liner or a typo fix, every single contribution helped Plasma out a lot, and because you've helped Plasma, you've helped thousands of browser extension developers out there build amazing browser extensions, and um, that's really amazing. So just wanted to say that, and yeah, let's get started, Lewis. You want to talk a little bit about all this fun stuff that we've been up to last week?
Yeah, sounds good. Uh, do you want to just zoom into that to the block? I think it might be a bit too small. Nice, nice. You scroll with the three finger thing,
Two fingers.
two finger. Okay. Yeah. So I think last week we revamped the blog. So previously we host a blog uh, on a third party vendor. Now, because they booted us out of their platform, we decided to just move all of that into our Notion into our Notion knowledge management base, and make a CMS out their API, right? And it turned out to be it worked pretty well. So yeah, well, minus some of the cases where some of the image asset might not have been resolving yet, but for the most part, we transitioning most of our blog into our own kind of Notion CMS setup, which is very nice because we like to use Notion for almost anything now within the company. Yeah, like note taking and so on and so forth.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, um, with this, we can write our blog post in Notion and click a little publish button, and then it's actually going to convert it into our blog format. So, like Lewis said, it's a CMS, and I don't know. I really like it compared to our previous solution. So our previous solution, we were using an existing CMS out there, and the trouble with it was free until it wasn't, and then one of the things we were thinking about is like, sure, we can pay money to use this CMS, but what was happening was there were these like bug fixes that weren't going through. So like if you guys notice, so let me just show that real quick. So if we go to our old blog, which is still up by the way, um, so if we go into like I think probably the Firebase one as an example, or maybe this one. So this looks fine, right? Like you can see all this stuff on the left and so on. But then for this one, like yeah, like it clips. So they don't properly like deal with the overflow. And we reported this to them, but they kind of told us that we're in the free tier, so we're not eligible for support. And it's like, well, this isn't really support, it's like a bug. So we didn't have like a great experience. So we ended up saying like, um, we were we were gonna move over to a new blog anyway. So decided now that they're actually wanting to charge us for being on this platform, we might as well actually perform the migration. So we did that, and after about a week, we got this blog together, and everything just works, and it's super fast now, right, Lewis?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. So some images are not loading right now because we're still fixing some of those static images. But for the most part, we do a lot of the caching and so on internally, locally. Yeah.
Got it.
So so I just sent to the chat the link to the Notion HQ client. So that is the npm module for the Notion client that we're using, that we use to fetch the Notion. They call it page, right? So Notion has several top-level concept, page, and block, and then some other kind of type of top-level kind of a component. And then from those components, we convert them into Markdown, and then we render the Markdown in our container. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things is like that's, you know, if you want to do this, potentially if you want to use Notion as a CMS, and we might write a blog post about this. What the two big things that you need to consider. One of them is like the actual output that it renders. So like this right here, it might not look the same as what is on Notion. So for example, here, this is a call out. So Notion also has this concept of call outs. So we made it look we made it look good, but this isn't how it would look in Notion. Also this purple link here. But if you can convert all this to Markdown, and you can kind of like tweak it a little bit to like handle call outs and then other things like that, little nuances, then it can be really good. And then also like, I think the other one was the code. So we also added code syntax highlighting and stuff, so which we didn't have in the old blog, so really happy about that. And yeah, overall really good. But yeah, the tricky thing is definitely the images. So you can see here, the image is hosted on plasma.com, and we have a URL, it's API blog cover image and stuff like that. And like, the reason we can't just use the ones that are in Notion is because Notion doesn't actually so Notion gives you AWS links, like S3 links, and those kind of stop working after a certain amount of time. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, so I can chime in on this. So
yeah, go ahead.
Notion, so for all Notion image asset, there are two types of image. The first type is external URL. So those, for example, from Upslash, or if we have an image host that we add into a blog, right? Then Notion would not like try to self-host it on their Amazon, on the Amazon Web Service cloud. They would just link the URL. Those are fine. We can statically link those. But when we, for example, uploading a new file, right, from a machine to Notion, then Notion would have to host those files, and they host that on their Amazon Web Service storage blob. And that, when Notion API return the URL for these images, it is a sign image, a public sign image for that asset that only lasts for about an hour. So after an hour, the link would totally be gone. So you have to account for that. So to account for that, there are several ways to solve the problem. We can either cache the image in the file system, or the second way is we make an API route that points to the block resource that has that image, and then we rehydrate it later on when viewer open the web page with the image. Yeah. So there are several. I think I'll say there are several approaches, but we try two of them. The previous one is when we cache everything at build time, right? So that was interesting. Is that we basically when we compile and build the entire block, we would cache every single image and throw that into a static kind of a directory. That worked sometime, but then there are times when Amazon Web Service would throttle your request if you request too many at the same time. And so you can imagine if our blog scaled to about 1,000 page, and we have to like fetch about 1,000 of these cover images. I will see that Amazon Web Service might throttle us a lot, and we will not be able to build the web page actually, the entire blog. And so that's not very. It's not a very scalable solution. The current solution we have right
And
now.
Louis, we hit that, didn't we? We hit that rate limit.
We did, yeah. We got throttle, or we actually like basically they do have 429, right? They throw 429 now and then, and a single 429 would fail the entire pipeline for us.
Yeah.
So we move on to the new or the implementation where we rehydrate the image using an API route at a later time. And this setup means that when you first visit the webpage, we actually take the ID of that image, fetch it, and then cache it as a CDN level. So the benefit of that, right, is that at build time we simply statically link the ID of the block that contain the image. The cons is that when the first person who load a block will see a slight delay in the image loading because it has to rehydrate and fetch the image.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
generally though, it's actually not that. The rehydration of a page with like I don't know 10 images is not that big of a deal.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, that's our blog. So check it out if you haven't already. Um, we are going to completely migrate over to this, and we'll likely have some sort of kind of RSS feed as well. So if you want to subscribe,
Small little detail on the front page of that, right? We have a new header bar with the sign in and login button.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
So, one of the things is like you go on plasma.com, you want to use Itero, right? Itero, our product suite that makes it super easy for you to productionize and iterate quickly on your browser extension. So you've already built your browser extension using our framework. Now you want to use Itero. The thing that the kind of feedback we got was, I love going on Itero, but like when I go on plasma.com, I have to click this get started button. Will that be there forever? Like, what if there's something else there? How am I going to get to Itero? And then we were like, yeah, you're right. Like, we should have a login or a sign up kind of thing. So we created it. So now when you click on login, it'll take you to Itero. And then same goes for sign up. So those are just two different ways to get there. So yeah, that's cool. And then we also like modify this a little bit to be in the center. We'll probably make it a little bit more left aligned. But yeah, it looks good. The other thing that I just want to cover before we get into this like cool framework releases, let me show you guys our new GitHub README, because we had a contributor today, um, Wang Rong Ding. He basically set up this amazing thing, which I've seen before, but I never thought to put it into Plasmo. There's now a big image of all the different people that have contributed to Plasmo. And, I think this is really awesome. And it really highlights that every single contributor means a lot to us. And we want to display everyone who's contributed onto our README for everyone to see like how awesome they are. And, when you click this, it'll take you to kind of see everyone's um, username, see what they've done, what they've been up to. And yeah, so we have that now. So that's awesome. Big thank you to Wong for getting that set up for us. And cool. So Louis, do you want to take it away with a cool new release of the framework? So when you're doing build polyfills, it's going to run node index.mjs. And this is a new package that you created called parcel resolver, right? Got it. Yeah, sounds good. So the old one didn't have any scripts or anything. Oh, yeah, yeah. Right, right. Nice.
Should
What's that?
someone say that? So Nico. Oh, should. Oh, my bad. Hey, Nico. Um. Oh Lord, I'm back.
What
Sorry.
happened?
Thank you for letting us know. Uh. Oh, so apparently I mute myself because I thought that my typing or my mouse clicking might be a bit too loud.
Okay. So should we uh should we do some restart or something?
Um, not sure when we should restart back to. By the way, yeah, I don't know, but the microphone thing is a huge pain in the ass, huh? He can hear you, but he can still hear you. So everyone heard you. They just don't hear me. That's all.
Okay. Here, let me recap what we did. Maybe that's a good solution. Um, so we talked about the blog. We have a new blog. I think you guys know that because I talked about that. The parts where Lewis was talking was basically talking more into the details of how the images are fetched and so on, because images are using a signed URL with in an S3 bucket. So when you upload a new image, so Notion has two different ways. So okay, just to back up a little bit, we use Notion as our CMS now. So this entire blog is actually hosted on Notion, which is pretty cool. But the images aren't. Images aren't because the way Notion works is when you upload an image and to Notion, Notion actually stores it in an S3 bucket and then creates a signed URL for you to access those images. Now the issue is those expire, that URL expires within an hour. So because we are statically building this blog, so that means that when we actually build our entire mono repo, we pull from Notion, we get all the data, and we statically create this content for us. Now, that means that all the URLs are going to be pointing to the signed URL, and that's going to expire after 1 hour of build. So, it's all going to work great in the first hour, but then afterwards, the URLs will expire, and then all your users are going to see basically incorrect images. So the thing Lewis was talking about was we took two different approaches, and we decided to go with the second approach because the first one was causing us issues. Well, we'll talk more about this in a blog post. Lewis talked more about the details, but just moving along to cover everything, so we can cover all the good stuff that you guys missed. So we ended up going with a second approach where we use an API to actually fetch the image, and then we cache it on the CDN layer. So the first person that actually views the images, unfortunately, it's going to have to rehydrate it for them, but afterwards it's going to use the caching layer. So hopefully that's a nice little in the middle solution, and it should solve some of our pain points that we had. But yeah, as I said, we're going to have a blog post. We're going to talk more about that. The next thing, I guess, that Lewis, let's just cover it because I think we didn't talk too much about it anyway. But you want to just restart the framework stuff. This is a patch release, you said, and it's more of a fix. It isn't necessarily like pushing new major features, right?
Yeah. So 60.2, right? So 0.60.2 version bump is a patch release. So definition of patch release is we have bug fixes or dependency bumping, and those are the key thing. So Fido, can you zoom in a little bit on that?
Yeah, of course.
On the framework section. All right. So So the first fix that we have is an issue with the polyfill. So in Plasmo, we added a custom polyfill to resolve all of the not node module, right? All the custom, not custom, but like system node module in into your extension bundle, right? For example, when you want to use some kind of like node module that has some browser defined kind of API, uh, then this would resolve it for you automatically. You didn't have to worry about adding that extension, right? Adding that dependencies. For example, like especially using like WebSocket.io, for example. Socket.io is one of the package that a lot of people use that would rely on some system node module system package. And the way that we fixed, so one issue that we had before was that this polyfill was being bundled using targeting Node.js, not for the browser. And so when our internal bundler was compiling and trying to resolving this module, it thought that these are Node module, so it just put them as is into the final bundle, and then your browser couldn't understand that because the browser cannot really load Node module, right? And so it messed up the entire bundling process for people who are using these polyfill. And so yeah, so the fix was simply separating out the bundling, the transpiling layer, uh, the transpiling layer for the polyfill itself, right? Because the framework has to make these polyfill digestible for the compiler. So we separate out the transpiling step for the parser plugin, which is the way that Plasmo tells parser, our internal bundler, to resolve this module. And then we have another kind of a compiling process to compile and transpiling all of this polyfill for the browser. And that's basically the separation that we have in the change set, the diff that Stefan was showing. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So the let me just point also to the GitHub issue that kind of flagged this for us.
So if you go back to the PR, you can actually see it link. It should link to that issue. So we might be able to just chase back to that. Yeah. So on the side, there's a or that or on the side as well. Yeah. Yep. So this.
Yeah.
So
Alan.
Yeah.
Alan posted. I think they posted first in nice. I think they posted first in our Discord server.
Yep.
But yeah, so their issue was all about buffer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they were trying to consume the buffer module, and then apparently it's trying to use the node module instead of the browser module.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Fix 3 days ago. So really impressive stuff, Lewis. We got this fix in 2 days, and yeah, it just shows how quick we can get stuff fixed and added and stuff like that. So if you have any bug reports or anything like that, like maybe your team is facing some issue, or you have a feature request for Plasmo, either the framework, either Itero or our new Pallas stuff that we're going to talk about soon, I just post it here because we're quick and we get stuff done fast.
Yeah. Well, by the way, the reason why we fast is because we actually use some of this stuff, right? We do use buffer for our extension that use Socket.io. We haven't really touched down back to it yet, but we know that those extensions do use buffer and also events, so all those polyfill, right? So I would say that we do prioritize some of the feature that we would personally use, and then feature that like our enterprise customer would be requesting. And
so the way that I view it,
mm-hmm.
also this is a nice one. I'll keep it here. The way that I view it is like this, Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
So we have so it's task management, product manager. We have there's like that, and then it's like that, and then like the meme.
Uh huh. Remind me.
So it's maybe like I don't know, like whatever, and then expert slash ninja level. So that's kind of how I view it. Like, just ship stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of my friends was asking on Twitter, um, does anyone have any advice for like how to? It was something like, how can I do better beta testing and stuff like that. Um, and I'm just like, just ship it, you don't need to think too much about oh, like we need to prioritize this and that, because like at the end of the day, if you can just ship quickly, um, you don't really need to prioritize, right?
Yeah.
And I think we do that pretty okay. um, like we obviously have like high level goals. It's not like we're just working on whatever we feel like, although sometimes we do that if we're really excited about something, like this AI stuff with Pallas. We're really excited about it, so we just decided like, hey, let's work on that. But we do have higher level goals. But yeah, as you said, like we use this as well, and that helps us like figure out like, okay, like we're actually passionate about that, so let's get that done. But at the end of the day, it's sort of like just ship it, like we used to. I think like Lewis and I used to have like, I don't know, 3 hour long meetings where we would like kind of figure out what tasks to work on this week and stuff like that. It's like, that's such a waste of time. Let's just like ship stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's become a lot better. So yeah.
Yeah, I would also encourage. The one thing is that I would encouraging the same thing for the community, right? If you have something you want to get done, just ship it yourself. Make a PR. We merge it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like for example, a lot of the PR that was sent to us, we would review it, and the thing is, right, a lot of time I can see the barrier though. Is a lot of time for open source project, and especially my frustration with open source project, right, is that when someone make a PR and send it to you, well, a lot of the author would review it, but they kind of scared to merge it, right? Unless it's a small changes, they wouldn't merge it, or they wouldn't incorporate it, or they wouldn't try to understand the changes and kind of trying to incorporate it, which is quite frustrating, I think, especially for big project. Uh, but I think for Plasma, or at least for me, when I see a new PR, my general sense is actually I'm excited to actually go through the PR and see what the author of that PR really trying to achieve here, right? And then the idea is that we were seasoning that PR to fit the test of of the Plasma framework, right? Of the Because there's an opinion that we have surrounding the framework, and then
Yeah.
we merge it ourselves because we don't care too much about it, right? As long as we think it's fun and it's working for us, we get it done and we merge it in 2 days or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think we operate in a similar capacity too. I don't remember. So back, just to give a little bit more Plasmo lore, Lewis and I, we used to live together back in 2018 in college. Or it was 2018, right? Or 2017?
2017, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 2017.
Yeah, 2017. And we worked on a bunch of open source projects together. Like we would contribute to them. We created this kind of like GSM um, group and stuff like that. And I remember at that time, and like I used to intern. I mean, I interned in a bunch of like tech companies, and you did too, right, Lewis? And
Yeah.
like whenever you submit a PR, people comment on it, like asking you to change stuff. and then you would be like, oh, okay, and then you would change it, and then they would do a second round. They'd be like, okay, it looks good to me, and then you merge, right? And when I contributed, or maybe you did, I don't remember, we contributed to some open source project together. And the guy's like, oh, sounds good, thanks. And then all of a sudden he started like putting his own commits into the PR. Like he actually modified the code. And I was like, wait, what? Because I thought like, in the standard way, he would just be giving us feedback and then we would have to do it. But it's not that way. And and when we started Plasmo, we sort of took the same principle and we came up with a term
Interesting.
for it.
Huh, I remember. Yeah, Soyuka, right? That dude. Yeah, Soyuka from the WebSocket Bridge Library.
Do you remember it? Like, okay, so what was that called? I'm trying to find it.
The guy's name is Soyuka.
Like this?
Something like that. Yeah, but it basically one of the. Just go to hyperproxy. You find it.
Hyperproxy?
Yeah, you find it within hyperproxy. It's one of the dependency of hyperproxy, right? And one of them should be his. I think the one that you found is his name, but I just want to make sure, right? Go back to. So go to the package JSON of that thing, and we should see something.
Oh, here it is.
Yep. Oh yeah, exactly the guy. So if you go to one of the PR, that's him. Or is it?
Oh, the first PR, yeah.
Yeah, look at us.
So we made the modifications. So it doesn't look like this is the one.
Well, but this is the only one that I remember that we actually made a PR for. I don't think we made it on PR.
I'll take a look because I think that there was one where he actually made some person made changes. But yeah, so we call this we named this, we call it seasoning. So Lewis is really big into cooking, and I think it's this idea that like when you cook, like you can give us the burgers, but we're gonna put some seasoning on the burgers and make it taste delicious. And that's the idea. So don't worry if like what you contributed isn't perfect, or maybe you don't know if this is necessarily the right like way of doing this, or does this match, I don't know, how we would do it and stuff like that. It's all good because we want you to supply the sort of like chicken wings, and then we'll marinate them, we'll season them, and we'll actually add commits on top of your PR to make it great, and then we'll merge it in. So
yeah, make the fried chicken out of
yeah.
it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So so that one's cool. And then what about this one, Lewis?
Okay, so this issue I figured it out with Nico. So Nico is one of our Discord member, very active. He's and very awesome person, by the way. He sent us a lot of error. So if you want to see a good way to communicate error with us, look at some of the thread that Nico posted. He sent us all the error and all of the kind of I would say log necessary, and also the tree of your project is also very useful to understand the structure of your project and see where the compiler might have what kind of stuff the compiler is touching, right? So and so one issue that he found is that he's using, so the context, he was using SuperBeta.js, right? And he wanted to use SuperBeta.js inside his background service worker, and to do so, he would use SuperBeta.js, the client library, inside the asset folder and include that. He would use import script in background service worker on the background service worker, like importing that script separately. And there is a benefit to that, right? The benefit is that his background script is now not too big anymore. It can load the script. It can load the Superbase script separately. Now the issue is that in the new version of Plasmo, the web so the process as copying the Superbase.js script is defined in the web accessible resource. But then in the new version, we somewhat restricting what you can add into what is being copied over to the web access resource. We check if it's an entry file or not, and we check if it is in any of our cat entry directory, like tabs, sandbox, pops up, options, so on, right? And apparently that is a bit too strict. People might want to add like an image file or something like that in those entry folder, and they want to referencing it, to be, in a more simple manner. So, yeah, we lift the restriction a little bit on that. So now
Right.
we only check for the entry file. So for example, if you're trying to include the pop-up TXX into the web access resources, we'd be like, nah, that's not allowed. You can still referencing the pop-up JS, I think, but otherwise, yeah, we remove that capability. I mean, we reduce the restriction on that on the copy of the web accessible copy, and so now it should copy his background service worker or the Superbase.js script from asset, right? From the asset folder. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, that should be a good one. So, if you're using, Supabase or any other kind of packages that where you're trying to import the scripts and stuff, you should be able to get that to work now easily with this fix. That's awesome. Um, all right, and then Louis, we're kind of just I think we're good with time. I think we're at like what 40 minutes.
52 minutes. I think because we
Okay.
had to do some rewinding. Actually, let
Let-
me just go through those three real quick, because let's not go into too deep detail.
All right.
Go through them real quick. So we have Bundle Buddy. So last release we added Bundle Buddy reporter that would producing a Bundle Buddy JSON file, allowing developer to kind of inspecting their bundle and see what dependency, how big their dependency has grown within their project, because we've been seeing project getting huge. So we added that for people to analyzing their extension bundle. Yeah.
All right. So let me demo that.
I thought we're not gonna go through the detail. I might as well. We'll go for it.
While you're talking about this other stuff, I'll just
Okay.
demo this briefly.
Okay, so the second one is that we have the MV2. So while we focus on MV3, right? There was an MV. There are still people wanting to make MV2 extension or supporting browser that use MV2. And so one of the contributor actually we got a contributing a person contributed a PR that fixed the target for MV2 bundle that make it much easier for make the bundle that Platform produce much more compatible for MV2 runtime. And what it does basically, it reduces the bundle all the way to IE11 basically. It said, hey, target IE11. And I think that apply all kind of polyfill for it, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you have to.
And then
Go.
and then can you kind of I think this one's pretty interesting. So like, can we? So like, before Safari wasn't even an option, right? But now it kind of is. Like, yeah, maybe we can have like some sort of example or something. Showing
Basically,
people how to use this.
yeah. Basically, with Safari, right? You can. So Safari still accept MV2, and so the developer can compile to MV2 extension code. Target Safari MV2, and you can use the Safari converter to converting that extension into a Safari extension project.
Yeah. So and that's documented in the issue, right?
I think so. In this, there's a Safari issue, support Safari issue, officially supporting Safari's target. Yeah.
So if you're interested in this, give a thumbs up. The more thumbs up, the better. Just so we know, like, kind of who's interested in this. Um, the idea around the Safari Web Extension Converter is here, so you can take a look. But yeah, now that we have this PR merged, you should be able to use that Safari Web Extension Converter. Unfortunately, it'll be MV2. The Safari converter uses the old MV2 format. That's kind of what Lewis talks about here. But yeah, it's a good stopgap solution. So that should be good.
By the way,
So, and then, what's that?
on a side note, right? You need to source map as well. So you also need to add a source map. So when you run build, you also have to do pm build with the source map as well. Yeah, source maps with the S, with an S. Yeah. So now we should have
Cool. And
yeah
then
all the map.
do you want to, awesome, thank you so much. And then do you want to talk about the end-to-end test cleanups?
Yeah. So we've been observing a bunch of end-to-end tests we have on the Plasma framework project failing recently, and a lot of that was because of I think the runtime got out of memory, because every time we spawn the Plasma framework runtime, or the runner, it might take a little bit of too much memory, so it wasn't, yeah, and also it took a bit too much time when we trying to spawn all the dev server. And so what I have done is I remove all the dev server, and now we just focus on testing the build set for now. So building for production.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also adding some cache. Actually adding the PnPm cache for those. So the installation time would be reduced on the end-to-end test as well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's that. Lewis, do you wanna just not show my screen real quick?
Okay.
So I can upload these real quick, and then we just move back.
All right. I'm gonna create a discussion scene now.
All right.
Oh, by the way, to those who don't know, so we have the one-on-one screen here. I call it discussion screen.
Just let me know when we're on the discussion screen.
We are now. We already are.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Where are the source maps?
They are the .map file that you see in the inside the build directory.
Oh, okay, right. I'm blind. Okay, cool, I got this.
And then you just scroll down, and it should have the result for you, basically.
Right.
Is it working?
No. You want to share my screen again?
Yeah. All right. That should be it. That should be fine. All right. Yeah, here you go.
Awesome. So the idea here, by the way, like in case you guys didn't know, when we build with those commands, so we have the two different bundle buddy as well as source maps. So you need both of them. What that's going to do is it's going to build your project in the production build. So you see prod, but it's also going to add these source map files, and these source map files basically map the compiled, or not compiled, but like the bundled code back to your source, and then the bundle buddy is there to kind of like integrate with this tool, and this tool is also called bundle buddy. And the cool thing is, like, it actually shows you what is taking up all of the space in your bundle. So in this case, like, React DOM is 126 kilobytes, and that's pretty big. And like, you know, and it has this I forgot what this is called. Do you remember, Lewis, this type of diagram?
No, actually.
Yeah, I used it in my like statistics class, but basically, like, how it would work is over here we have like runtime dash b2 whatever, so that's a file, and then it tells you everything that's in it, right? And then you just keep going up, and then node modules and so on. And then over here, you can see like um, file size, direct imports, indirect imports. Basically, if you're having issues where your bundle's getting huge and you want to know why, you now have the ability to do that, which is super awesome. I just wanted to highlight this because I think this is really a really good tool for people, because I know we've been hearing a little bit that sometimes for some reason like bundle sizes get really big, and this is a really nice tool to kind of do a bunch of introspection to figure out why that's happening. And you can even download the analysis and look it up and stuff. It's really nice. So um, yeah, it's a neat tool, and I'm glad we have that now with Plasmo, with the ability to do this.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, that was it from the framework. That was it from the blog. Now, are you ready? Are you ready,
Yeah.
Lewis?
Saving the last,
To talk?
the best for last, man. The best for last. Yeah, as usual.
Yeah, exactly. So um, we've been working on this thing called Pallas. The name is a reference to Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom. And the reason for that is because Lewis had this idea that, we should have some owl reference. And if you notice in our icon for the bot, it's an owl, but it's also kind of like a crow in some ways. And the reason for that is because my favorite poem is The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And one of the things that, like, one of the things in the poem is it talks about the bust of Pallas. So it's a reference to Pallas of Athena. It's a crow. Owl is also a bird. Anyways, that's why we call it Pallas. And it's our new crewmate, Pallas. They are a friendly AI, and the idea behind Pallas is we want to make something where you can ask it questions about Chrome extensions. You can ask it questions about Plasmo, and it will respond to you as though it were, let's say, us, as though it was me or if it was Lewis. They would know everything about Plasmo. They would know everything about Chrome extensions. I'm not saying we know everything about Chrome extensions, but we can look things up, right? Whereas an AI wouldn't. So that's why they need to know everything, unfortunately. And yeah, you can ask it whatever questions you want, and it will respond to you. On top of that, I think the even more powerful part is it can actually write your extension for you, which is insane. So you can type in !action, and you can give it what you want it to do. Like in this case, I'm asking it to create a minimal React component, popup.tsx, that sends a message using chrome.tabs.sendMessage with the word ping to every tab when the user clicks a button. And you can see here it actually generated code that does exactly that. Now, unfortunately, like you see that there's this import sent to background, like that's never used, and like that's totally not necessary, but it just added that, which, this is an alpha stage product and there's a lot of room for improvement, but you can theoretically like copy and paste this code onto your pop-up. You can delete this line, or if you're using like an auto import thing, it'll just delete it for you, and this will work. So if you're not sure like how to, I don't know, like how do I send a message to all of my tabs, you can ask it, hey, like write a JavaScript function or TypeScript function that sends a message to all my tabs, and it will generate that for you. And then you can like tweak it however you want, or maybe you can ask it like, hey, how do I export like an inline anchor? Like I forgot how to do that, and it'll actually do it for you. I've asked it that, and it actually generated the correct stuff for me. So really, really powerful stuff. And if you want to use this, you can actually go onto our Discord server. It's completely free. We want to kind of like play around with this. So if you go onto our Discord server, we have a channel called Pallas. You can go to that channel and you can play around with it. Now the cool thing is it works on all of our channels on our Discord server. So if you are asking a question, we will likely, once we get it to a state where it's a little bit kind of works better with people just asking questions, we'll actually have this integrated with all of our support channels. So when you ask a question, Pallas will actually respond first, and then you can actually say like, oh yeah, this did answer my question, or no, it didn't, and then that will help train Pallas to be better in the future, but it will also inform us that, hey, you still need help, or maybe you still need additional support. So yeah, that's something that we're gonna be doing in the future. But um, yeah, so if you don't like the output, give it a thumbs down. If you like the output, give it a thumbs up. It's as simple as that. Now, speaking about how we implemented this, the way that it works, oops, sorry about that. So about 3 days ago, I saw a tweet, and I feel like that's how all good things start, right? When you just see a tweet. And the tweet I saw was from Sam Altman talking about embeddings and how there's this new OpenAI embedding model that is much cheaper and a little bit more performant than even Da Vinci had embeddings. And I was like, okay, wow, that's interesting. And by a little bit cheaper, I mean a lot. Like, I think I think the previous model, it costs the same for six. So let's say you want to create an embedding of a document. So for 6 embeddings in the previous model, so 6 documents you want embeddings, you can do 1,000 documents with this new model for the same price. So it's like, what is that? Like 3 orders of magnitude more expensive to use the old model. So this is insane. It's gonna like launch a lot of really really cool products out there, and it already did with Pallas. So the way we do it is we use we use 2 technologies. We use OpenAI to generate the embeddings for us and to generate the completions for us, and then we use Pinecone, which is this really interesting um, vector search database that we utilize for the embedding search. And it's kind of cool how it works because we first like train it on the Chrome extension reference API. We train it on so we create all the embeddings for those documents. We create all the embeddings for our docs on Plasmo, and on top of that, our discussion board. We're going to do the same for our Discord server and potentially even Stack Overflow data on Chrome extensions.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna actually have so what we did with that is now we have this like bunch of documents, and they're all in this embedding space, which makes semantic search super easy. We use Pinecone to basically say, okay, here's a new question. So here, like write a minimal React component pop-up.tsx, et cetera, et cetera. We put all of this, and we send it over to OpenAI to create an embedding for that question. And then we have that embedding. We send over that embedding to Pinecone, and we say, hey, Pinecone, give us the top 10 documents that are related to this question. It gives us those documents, and we actually put it into our completion prompt as context. And then we put this back into the prompt. So saying, hey, given this context, do this. And then it generates this based on that context. So that way we have sort of this kind of idea of a long-term memory. It's not really, but it kind of is in some ways. It could be better, but yeah, that's kind of the idea with Pallas, and a little bit behind the curtains idea of what's going on under the hood. But yeah, like I said, if you wanted to try it out, go to our Discord server and try it out, because it's really cool.
Yeah. Also, on a side note, it's a bird, right? So bird doesn't need too much memory, man. You know.
Bird doesn't need too much memory. I think parrots are remarkably intelligent, aren't they?
They're repeating stuff, you know.
Yeah. Well, isn't this also kind of the same vein, repeating
Okay,
stuff?
it's true, but it's an owl. It's not a parrot. Okay. She.
Yeah. I'm gonna call, and it's even starts with the letter P. It's practically a parrot.
All right. But yeah, yeah. Like I think we built the whole thing in what 3 days?
Yeah.
And if I
And
go for it.
would have been 2 days if it wasn't for like how terrible of a framework the Discord bot framework we were using was.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's the only one that's actually the most active developer, I think. Oh, this the one. Yeah. And I would
Yeah,
say that.
I guess like sorry to cut you off. I just maybe I think it's terrible to newbies.
Yeah.
People that have never used the framework, it's terrible. But for people that have used it a lot, it's probably really good.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. So I think one of the things we're thinking about is actually building our own like Discord framework. Why not?
Yeah, why not, right? By the way, I also the thing is that this AI was made by an AI, right? Largely guided by human, but
Yeah,
a lot
like
of
so. No, definitely. When we were building this out, right? Like, um, all of the so like we parsed the markdown from the docs. So like the Chrome docs, Plasma docs, and so on. There's all markdown, all open source. So when we were parsing that, we just reached out to ChatGPT and said, "Hey, build us a parser where it takes all of the headings, takes all the sections under the headings, and puts them into a pandas data frame." Created that function. Okay, great. Then we were like, okay, well, we also want to get this GitHub discussion stuff. Build us a little tool, a little function that uses GraphQL to take the discussions. Here's the schema. Give us the title, give us the post, and give us the answer. Without question, it just did it. Right? There were some issues, little issues to deal with here or there, but it's a lot easier than just doing everything manually yourself. And it reminds me again of Sam Altman. In one of his tweets, he was saying that like all these large language models are like e-bikes for the mind. So nowadays, like when I want to like rent a bike on the street, like it used to be that I would have to like pedal myself, and it was quite a chore. But with the advent of e-bikes, if I'm going uphill, it's okay. Like it doesn't matter. The e-bike will take care of it for me. I still have to pedal a little bit, but the e-bike takes care of most of it, and that's actually I really resonate with that while I was building this out, like using the ChatGPT stuff, because it really felt to me like an e-bike for my mind.
an e-bike, or as we like to call it internally, is a junior developer, right? That we're paying about what, $17 an hour or something.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, and the great thing is, by the way, just to plug a little bit, we have a podcast. It's called the Browser Extension Chat. You can check it out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, we have an RSS feed for it. Um, in one of the previous episodes, Louis, you said that ChatGPT is powerful because of the chat interface, right? You can communicate, and if something's not done right, you can actually say like, hey, that's not actually not done right, and then ChatGPT can actually correct its own mistakes. And the reason why like it feels like a junior developer is because not because the code quality can be improved or something like that. It's actually because when you say like, hey, this didn't work, can you like fix it? They're so like apologetic and like so nice, like ChatGPT, I mean, and oh, I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, you're right. Like I didn't consider that and stuff like that. It's like this is a great coworker. Like I would love to work with someone like that. They're like very strong culture fit. So yeah, it's very fascinating.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
it's the best coworker, right? Because you can underpay them as much. You wait. I mean, yeah, you're paying them very very. You're paying them minimum wage for
Well, it's free, right? It's free, so
somewhat free. Yeah, somewhat. I mean, is it?
ChatGPT is completely free.
Ah, yeah, it's true. It's true.
So we're not paying ChatGPT. For Pallas, we are paying, um, but I think it's like a pretty marginal expense. And yeah, I don't know. Like I heard today that startups that got funded by OpenAI's VC fund get early access to GPT-4. Super jealous. Um, I'm really really hyped for GPT-4. Really excited about that. So I think like one of the other reasons we're investing a bunch of time into like this sort of stuff with Pallas is because we are anticipating the huge wave that's going to come with AI and the exciting things that we can do with it. So we want to be there when the wave hits, so we can ride the wave.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sounds good.
awesome, cool. Well, with that, Louis, anything else you wanted to discuss on your end?
No, I think we're good to go. An hour and 15 minutes.
Awesome.
get them out of time.
Yeah,
All right.
no, for sure. Cool. Well, hope you enjoyed, and I guess we'll see you guys next week for more demos.
Yes, sir.